Hello, beautiful people. I hope that you are doing great. I am Tamika Caston-Miller of Ashe Yoga, and I am so excited to be just giving you a little bit of information about teacher training and what is upcoming. One of the most frequent questions that I get around teacher training, and also one of the things that I think people should be asking about teacher training is, why should I study with so-and-so? So my first thing is, not every teacher training is right for every person, because each teacher is going to feel really aligned with certain people and malaligned with others. With this if you're looking for a training in which, well, I'll just say this, most trainings are 200-hour trainings are really about refinement. So they're about taking your personal practice, your personal asana or movement practice, and then coming into a refinement of your ability to get yourself into shapes, and then obtain a refinement of how to get other people into shapes. Outside of that, then there is peppered into the training yoga philosophy, breath work, maybe some experience of meditations and things like that. And that is the training. Some really great trainings, like the one Yang Yoga focused training that I'm affiliated with that's coming up, are going to go a little deeper into those aspects and are going to go deeper into the philosophy, help teach people how to sequence and things like that. With Ashe Yoga School, we're really focused on being what is filling the gap of what's not there, which is a 200-hour that focuses on the philosophy of yoga, applying that philosophy of yoga to our lives today, and recontextualizing where asana or the movement of yoga fits within that. And so yoga philosophy is at the forefront of the training, and everything is informed by how we view the world and are a part of the world, show up in the world. That means that there is a social justice focus. That means that there is a trauma-informed lens for how we teach yoga. That means that there's a heavy focus on meditation, and that there's a heavy focus on breath work. It also, at least for this context, means that we're focusing on the subtle body, and we're focusing on the subtler aspects of yoga asana or the movement of yoga, which are going to be through yin yoga and restorative yoga. Now, there are some opportunities for yang movement or more fiery movement, but for the most part, we're looking at the slower practices and the what I call slow and low practices, which are going to be restorative and yin yoga. Now, there's some a myth out there that yin yoga and restorative yoga are for people whose bodies can no longer attain more shapes that stress the body more. And that is definitely a myth, or that restorative yoga is for like an older population, whereas like power yoga is for a younger population. All asana meets people wherever they are in their lives. And I would say that anyone can do a well-taught and a well-guided, powerful asana session, just like anyone can do its opposite. What we are doing, however, in the yin and restorative practices is two things. One, we are giving people an opportunity to practice resilience building, and that's in the yin yoga practice through poses that are held for 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes longer. And to that end, there's an opportunity to obtain a mastery over the mind to be able to be in practices for that and poses for that amount of time. What do you do when you're in frog and it's 4.5 minutes? Like where do you go? Do you go path of ease? Do you go path of challenge? Do you find your breath? What is happening? These are incredible opportunities to see challenge through to the other side, and to sense the rebound in the body that happens when we have done exactly that in our lives, when we've taken the opportunity to see a challenge through to the other side. What does the other side then look like? The other thing is, with restorative yoga, we're practicing rest, and we're practicing the ability to drop into rest no matter where we are, who we are, what the situation is around us, what's happening in life. Obviously, we have a lot of challenges going on right now in the United States and in the world, and some states more than others. We're not in a unique situation insofar as there's oppression everywhere, and we are feeling it here in the United States in very tangible ways, because they're affecting communities and populations that haven't felt the brunt of oppression before. But it takes a lot to be able to endure what life is. And and even if everything were perfect, even if there weren't oppression, even if there weren't marginalization, even if there weren't erasure, there is still life, which includes loss, grief, transitions that are incredibly difficult sometimes. And so the restorative practice gives what Dr. Gail Parker describes as a nervous system immunity. In other words, we're able to be in a practice of allowing for rest to arise in spite of and amidst anything else. It can be really hard to find rest when we have all these other things going on in our lives, or if we're in a grief journey, or if we're in anxiety, or we're in depression or fear. And so the restorative practice gives us an opportunity to be able to sit with those things, and possibly for them to go away, if not for a while, forever possibly. There's a lot of science around the efficacy of the restorative practice, being able to create this type of immunity to the things that are going to trigger our nervous systems. And so I invite you to dig into these practices so that you can apply them into your own life and possibly share them with other people. Now, it may be too late for you to be in my 200-hour training, or you might already have a 200-hour and you don't want to do another one. I will say that many people who did my 200-hour training already had 200 hours from other places because of the reasons that I mentioned earlier. But if you do choose to study, but you don't want to do it within a certification, there are other opportunities. There are standalone trainings for each of those lineages. So there's a standalone yin training, a standalone restorative training, which has now been rebranded as Collective Rest, which many of you who've been following me for a while know is something that I'm passionate about, resting as a collective and coming into this reparative practice of being at rest with other people who come from very different backgrounds. So there's the Collective Rest training. There are 2 modules to it. The first is restorative yoga, and the second module is yoga nidra. There's a 100-hour certification to do both of those, and then there are 2 50-hour certifications for module 1 or module 2. Also, as many of you know, the yin training is coming up in October. The yin training is incredibly popular. So if that's something that you're interested in, especially if you need financial help, now is the time to register for that. And with the yin training, there are also now 2 modules. The first one is yin 1, which is foundations of yin. That's 50 hours. The second is yin 2, which is advanced yin concepts. We'll be digging into meridian yin, meridian nidra, chair yin, adaptive practices, and more in TCM, just really digging deeper over 50 hours. And that's another possible 100-hour certification or 250-hour opportunities. So of course, if I've got all of these advanced trainings coming up, that means that there is also an advanced training coming up, which yes, there is a 300-hour that will be available on my website within the next few days, and that you will have an opportunity to dig deeper into all of those practices and more. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of those things. And if you do nothing, like let's say training is not for you at all, what I do want you to just consider is that now is a time to begin building your resilience and rest practices. Now is the time to begin learning how to sleep, regardless of what's going on, learning how to sit in discomfort, learning how to be challenged, and to do hard things better. So I invite you to message me if you have any questions about any of those things. And if you're wanting to get involved or get on wait list or anything like that, definitely let me know. It's so good to just be in community with folks from around the world. I'm deeply looking forward to spending more time seeing you in classes and beyond. And until then, we'll see you. Bye-bye.